as I said earlier, I'm sure we'll get a few more people dropping in as and when they can. So we're all here today, obviously, to speak about the Eco-Friendly Schools website that Support Services for Education have created. I'm just going to drop that link into the chat now. Lovely. So you can all have a look at that just while we're getting started. So on there, we've got lots of information about eco schools and lots of other accreditations. Our plan really was to make a website that all different educational establishments in Somerset can use to help them to become more eco-friendly in whatever way that is. So whilst we've done that, I'm just going to share my screen a moment. So just to quickly show you the website, I won't go over it in very much detail. Some of you will have been in our earlier meeting and won't want to see all of that again, but this is the landing page for the eco-friendly site. It is linked to our Support Services for Education site, which most of you will be used to dealing with. I'm just going to let another couple of people in from the lobby. So on here, we've got some information about what we're trying to achieve. And then we've got some information about what eco schools are trying to achieve. We then have the 10 topic areas, some of which we're going to have speakers from today. So in these topic areas, we've got topics such as biodiversity, energy, global citizenship, healthy living. There are obviously 10 of those. And when you click into those, let's go for biodiversity. That's always a fun one. Oh, there we go. The picture's loaded. So biodiversity is always one that the children and young people really enjoy. Going to go through here. We've got a few curriculum examples, and that's something we're going to continue to work on over the next however long, probably forever, trying to link the curriculum into what we can do here to make it as easy for you as possible. So you can have a look at those. There's those for every one of the 10 topics. We also have a few teams and organisations that can help you. So straight away here, we've got our SSE Outdoors team. There's the residentials in places like Kilve. We also have the SCC Ecology Service, Bug Life, Bumblebee Conservation, wonderful Carymoor, Gecko and Tops Day Nursery, which is really interesting for those who are in early years. Somerset Wildlife Trust, who are speaking today as well. So lots of different organisations that will be able to help you to get to where you want to in being more eco-friendly. So I just wanted to show you that for just a moment. I'm going to stop sharing that now and be quiet, really. We've got three speakers. So we've got Emma from Somerset Waste Partnership, who's going to go up first. We've then got Mark and Rupert from Somerset Wildlife Trust and Carymoor. And then we've got Rachel from Marine Conservation Society. We'll then have a little bit of time for some questions, but that's our speakers for today. So I'm going to start you off with Emma from Somerset Waste Partnership.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bear with me just one moment while I share my screen. Lovely. Hopefully you can all see that. Okay. Excellent. Right, so yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Emma. I am the Schools Waste Management Officer for Somerset Waste Partnership. I've got a handful of slides this afternoon that I'm just going to kind of have a quick run through. There's sort of hopefully some parts of the service which you are aware of already, but there are some aspects which hopefully are going to kind of help promote the kind of the eco side of kind of obviously what we're all trying to achieve as well. So, I think the thing to kind of introduce initially is myself. I'm kind of conscious that I've joined very much in the kind of the midst of the pandemic and kind of lockdown, and so I kind of haven't got out quite as much as perhaps I would have liked. So really kind of my role is kind of overseeing the school service for SWP. And as part of that, my role is to link in with Suez, who are the contractor, who are physically going out there, actually emptying your bins. overseeing the service aspect of that, and then also linking in with the SSE finance team, who are involved in invoicing your school for the service and for the bins that you have collected effectively. So I'm kind of managing those kind of two aspects of it. When I'm not doing that, I'm working on some kind of improvement projects and some kind of feedback work. And part of that is site visits. So one of the aspects of my job is to actually come out and visit you as well. So hopefully in the next few months and certainly going into next year, I'll be able to do that a lot more than perhaps I was able to. And site visits themselves are a good opportunity for me to come out, say hello more than anything, but also to kind of get an understanding of how waste and recycling works at your school, if there's any aspects you'd like to improve. If you've had any issues perhaps with the collections, it's a good opportunity for me to come out and kind of do a bit of a site recce and kind of see how things work, see how see what the access is like for vehicles, etc. So it's a really good opportunity for me to get that feedback from you, and that can kind of feed back into what ultimately we're trying to achieve and make sure it works for everyone, because that's the other thing as well, is obviously we're kind of conscious that probably up till now schools have been slightly left to their own devices, so it's kind of pulling that back in and kind of making sure that what we do going forward is going to work for you. So that's kind of my role, really. I'm now going to go on and talk briefly kind of about three main areas that I'd like to kind of make sure that everyone's sort of aware of. So those three main things. So the first off is the waste education aspect of it. So Rupert is actually on the call today, and he works for Carymoor Environmental Trust, who are kind of our partners really in the waste education aspect of it. Now, Rupert and his team are sort of running a whole wide variety of different waste education. But the thing I want to touch on today is the Schools Against Waste Action Programme. So this is a funded scheme funded by SWP and Suez. And it's basically it's a programme aimed at primary schools, Key Stage 1 and 2. And it's a series of assemblies and workshops that schools can book in for, and basically have some kind of fun sessions. There's a lot of different ones which I'm not going to rattle off. I'm sure Rupert can sell them much better than I can. But there are a wide range of topics from kind of the food waste to the 3Rs and plastics, so really kind of key areas really. At the moment, those are being kind of rolled out by district. So we have largely already completed Mendip and South Somerset, though there are still some limited availability for those. So if you do have a school in that area, by all means, please get in touch either through myself or through Carymoor, and we'll see if we can accommodate you. Up to now, Taunton Dean is the areas that we're now booking in for, and then sort of the West Somerset and Sedgemoor will come later, and they'll be kind of notified via them if you're in those areas, kind of via invite. So that's the kind of waste education aspect of it. The second part is internal recycling containers. Now, not a particularly exciting aspect of it, but equally an important one. So up to now, the service has charged for these containers. They're not particularly pretty looking. They are kind of only really the sort of the domestic size containers, but we can now offer these to schools for internal recycling for free. So these are the 44 or 55 litre recycling boxes and the 23-litre food waste or 5-litre food caddies. Particularly the caddies, we've had a lot of schools request those, particularly at the moment, as schools have kind of been separated out into classrooms. So those kind of caddies have proved quite useful for schools, particularly when schools have been kind of spread out and kind of amalgamating any waste to sort of throw away. So those are available. They're available to request via our inbox, which I have got a link to later on, and there should be a link on the SSE website for that as well. The last thing I want to come on to is the school's My Waste Services portal. So I'm aware that this may have fallen through the cracks for some people. Obviously, schools have been in and out up to now, and obviously we've had the school holidays as well. So the school's My Waste portal is very similar to the domestic one. So if you're aware of the domestic service and have used it before, there is effectively a portal where you can go to report miscollections and request new bins. And so effectively, we've duplicated that, but for schools. So schools have their own kind of landing page area, if you like. From there, you can report any miscollections or request any external bins that you have from the outside. We are encouraging schools to use this as kind of a first line, particularly if they have had miscollections. At the moment, there are a number of different ways that people are tending to contact us, but that often results in a lot of kind of query handling, a lot of call handling, a lot of passing things on. At least with this way and this manner of dealing with it, any miscollection report that goes straight through will go straight through to Suez. So it means that everyone's aware of it, but it also goes straight through to them to action quickly. So where possible, we would encourage schools to use that as kind of the first line, really. And then hopefully that will kind of avoid too many kind of urgent issues cropping up. The last couple of things I just want to briefly touch on. Something that is exciting that we are working on at the moment is actually some Eco Schools grants. Now we are hoping that we're going to be able to launch these before Christmas, although things are still slightly we're still working out the details at the moment. But effectively for all SSE, SWP customers who buy their waste collection service through this service, which hopefully is everyone here, there's effectively going to be a limited number of £500 grants which are going to be available, and for schools to apply. And basically use these to progress their Eco Schools participation. So if you are a school which perhaps hasn't joined up to Eco Schools, or perhaps you are on perhaps a beginning, maybe the bronze level, and you want to progress further up, you can apply for these £500 grants to effectively kind of further your progression and kind of move through and help with projects. So it's something quite exciting. We are, as I say, still kind of bottoming out the details at this point, but we are hoping to launch them certainly hopefully during November at the very latest. We're kind of hoping at some point after half term. So we are going through various methods at the moment, and we'll be going through various forums and advertising these in a number of different places, so you will definitely hear about them, so don't worry. But that's hopefully something exciting and something positive which can hopefully obviously benefit all the areas today. So that's something to look forward to. The only other thing I want to briefly talk about is the Recycle More for schools. Now, I'm conscious that this was probably been talked about a very long time ago, and is basically the extension to the schools service. So you're probably aware already of the changes that have happened to the domestic service with the free weekly collections and the addition of the blue bag in some areas. So this has already happened for Mendip and South Somerset, and is shortly going to be happening for the Taunton Deane area as well. We are looking to roll out a version of Recycle More to schools, and this will happen. When exactly it's going to happen yet, we're not entirely sure. We're hoping to roll out all the domestic service first before we start to roll out the Recycle More. So part of that feedback and part of those kind of forums that we're going to be joining, and hopefully me getting out to visit a few of you, is going to be kind of asking a little bit about kind of how that would work for you, and kind of what you'd like to see, and see if there's any way we can kind of help make that transition a bit easier. It is likely to result in slightly different bin setups and a little bit more sorting, so aware that that can be kind of a bit of a pain for some of us. So if there's any feedback we can kind of glean from that, then please by all means, get in touch with us, and any feedback is really useful to us at this point. So that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but by all means, if you've got any queries, questions, any feedback, good or bad, any thoughts, or you'd like to arrange for me to come out, by all means get in touch. The best method to do that at the moment is via this email address, which is on the screen, and that is also on the SSE portal now as well. So thank you all for listening, and hopefully I can get out and see you shortly. Thanks.
That was brilliant. Thanks, Emma. Did anybody have any burning questions for Emma at this point? If not, what we'll do is we'll move on to our next talk, and then we can do some questions at the end, just in case they come to you a little bit later. So next up, we've got Somerset Wildlife Trust and Carymoor, which is Mark and Rupert.
Hi there. I wonder whether, as a nice segue between Emma and myself, Rupert, you want to kind of go first with more general Carymoor things, and then I'll move on to my project.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan. There we go. Can everyone see that okay? Yeah, brilliant. Yes, I'm from Rupert from Carymoor Environmental Trust. We're an environmental education and nature conservation charity based over near Castle Cary. So we offer quite a range of different environmental education, both at our site and also out in school as well. So our site's really very much all about contrast, because we manage an 80-acre area that was previously a landfill. And over the last 25 years, we've been regenerating that as a nature reserve. So we've developed meadows, woodland, wetland, and it's really the contrast of the site, the contrast of the nature with the also industrial nature of the site. There's still a working waste transfer station there, industrial composting operation. So that contrast is really a very fertile provides sort of amazing possibilities for environmental education. So in the bottom right there is our visitor centre. It's a lovely timber frame centre with lots of sustainable features, and that's very much the base for our operations and where you come when you visit. So just to give you a bit of a taster of some of the days we do, our day at the dump takes in, we can take school groups actually into the working waste transfer station, so children can really see what happens to their waste, and we can really get that reduce, reuse, recycle message home. And I think sort of seeing the sights and experiencing the smells of waste is just a really powerful catalyst. You don't forget it. You always never feel the same about putting something in your bin after you've seen it, really. And also with the children, we'll also take them up onto the regenerated area of the landfill, where they can see how the nature has come back to the site. So we're very keen on it not just being a lovely day out, but it being helping to support you and get those messages into school, so it can be really embedded into your day-to-day work. Just up in the top right there is our Going Underground exhibit, which is a sort of a cross section of landfill as well, so we can really show what happens underneath the surface. And it has waste from the 70s, 80s, 90s, so you can see how our waste has changed, and you can take different objects out of the wall, like rotary telephones and space hoppers and all that sort of things from the 70s through to mobile phones and the like now. And obviously biodiversity is the other big part of what we do. Our wild days out are all about games and trails, getting children out to experience the flora and fauna on the site, through some pond dipping, shelter building, sensory walks, mini beast hunting. There's lots of lovely spaces and cubby holes on the site, forest school areas and shelters to explore and enjoy. And we also do a range of history days as well. So this is still very much through the prism of sustainability, but I suppose the idea being that sustainability isn't something new, and our ancestors obviously used the resources that were around them. So again, very much hands-on practical days, going through the Stone Age, Celts, Saxons and Vikings. So it might involve grinding wheat with a quernstone, cooking bread over a fire, using local honey, having a think about wildlife trails and what wildlife would have been around locally. And yes, you can see there in the bottom right, our Viking shields are obviously reused bin lids, because of course they would be, wouldn't they? And just to follow on from what Emma was saying about our Schools Against Waste project, so this has been running since 2018. So we've been, I think, to the vast majority of primary schools in the county. But yes, at the moment, we're really focusing on that rollout of the Recycle More service to get children very much engaged, to get the message home to parents as well. So on our website, there's more details about the range of workshops we can offer, but it's a free half-day session with an assembly and 2 one-hour workshops. At the moment, it's still a virtual service via Zoom and Teams, but we'll see how things go. Hopefully in the coming weeks and months, we might be able to get back to it being in person as well. But in addition to the education, we are there for advice and support. The team are experienced teachers. A couple of the team have also been Eco Schools assessors, so we're very happy to help with wider advice as well. Yes, and just finally, yeah, any more information, do please have a look at our website, carymoor.org.uk, and just drop us a line if we can help with anything. That's a very quick overview of what we do. So I'll now hand over to Mark.
Okay, thanks, Rupert. My screen. Yeah, so one of the other projects that Rupert has been working on is in conjunction with Somerset Wildlife Trust. So just a quick intro to myself. My name's Mark Ward, and I'm the project manager of Somerset's Brilliant Coast, which is a 3-year project which is coming to its end this year, actually, and which has been all about engaging communities with coastal environment. One of the things we've been working on, which is particularly relevant today, is a new scheme called the Somerset School Coastal Champions League. And this has been devised in conjunction with Carymoor and also Litter Free Coast and Sea Somerset, which is a similar project to ours, working out of the Severn Estuary Partnership, and funded by Wessex Water and I think and some local authorities. So the three of us got together, and really this award is targeted at any schools, but in particular primary schools, lower secondary. And really what this award is about, well, the first thing about it is it's local. So it's a good, we think it's kind of a good way into eco schools if you're not into eco schools already, but also complements it really nicely. And the award helps schools to embed good practice like nature conservation, sustainability and other things into the heart of the school. So the award also has a coastal theme, because that's what sort of my project is, and Somerset Litter Free Coast and Sea have been working on. But it's an award that any school in Somerset could do, even if you're not right on the coast, and it just gives it a sort of a coastal focus. And there's 3 levels to the award: ripple, roller, or crest. And there's 3 pillars: water, which is being sort of looked after by Litter Free Coast and Sea. Their project is a lot about water quality in rivers and in the sea. Waste, which Carymoor are kind of keeping an eye on, and nature, which the Wildlife Trust are looking at. And basically, if you want to sign up to this award, you just let us know. You can go to Litter Free Coast and Sea Somerset's website, and you'll be able to find a link to it there. And there's basically a sort of things you have to do to get the various levels of the award. And it's very sort of self-managed, and then you can upload your evidence onto the website, and we'll have a look at it and then give your school the award. So you can see the 3 columns there: water, waste, and nature, and various things that you would need to do to meet the sort of targets in each of those areas. And if you get that, you get a certificate which you can stick up on your school notice board for each of the levels. And we think we sort of like this award and how we worked on it, really, because it's the idea of sort of start local, think global. So really getting them to think about Somerset, in particular the coastal environment, and to sort of be part of a network of schools working on a similar thing. And it does, as I say, complement other existing programs. So it will help you with eco schools. Just a quick infographic, which is probably a bit too much, doesn't take in it one go, but if you do these various themes of our award, they will match nicely with some of the topics in eco schools. So water and marine biodiversity, litter, waste, and also if you're looking at other sort of smaller awards, like for instance Surfs Against Sewage do a plastic free school award. By doing the sort of waste section of our award, you could probably submit the same evidence and become a Surfs Against Sewage plastic free school. And there's other projects which we can link you into. There's a European wide project called European Blue Schools, which is all about doing a big project around the sea or the ocean, and also does twinning with other schools in Europe. And there's another award which is more aimed at secondary students called Pixel Edge. So we think hopefully if you do this, you're not sort of replicating, you can help yourself to get other awards. So really that was it. Just to stop. Whoops. Oh yeah, just briefly, Jolien, my boss, head of engagement, Wildlife is also on the call, but we also have some other sort of education related things going on, like the Green Influencers Scheme, which is a national scheme. So we've got a member of our staff who is managing this, and this is really working with groups of people from primary schools and getting them engaged as kind of environmental activists and getting them to come up with their own projects. But you can find out more about that from our website. So I think that was all I was going to say. Thank you.
That was brilliant. Thank you very much. So that's really given us a more of an overview of various different schemes and accreditations that we can get involved with, and the various ways that those three teams can kind of help us out. Now to move on to Rachel from the Marine Conservation Society.
Hello, thank you. Yeah, really enjoyed hearing about that as well. Really interesting infographic at the end of how it connects to different schemes. It was really interesting. I'm just going to share my screen, so bear with me a second while I do that. Okay, hopefully you can all see that. Yeah, so I'm Rachel. I work as an education officer for the Marine Conservation Society. I just wanted today to talk to you about who the Marine Conservation Society are, in case you don't know. I'm just trying to work my mouse, which is not playing ball game. Bear with me a second. The mouse is not working at all. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, who the Marine Conservation Society are, and then I want to talk to you about our lesson plans, assemblies, workshops and online lessons, how you can use our resources and how you can find our resources. So we're a UK charity fighting for a cleaner, a better protected and a healthier ocean, and one that we can all enjoy. So we do this by collecting scientific data and carrying out practical conservation, so things like beach cleans or seagrass planting. And we speak to people of all ages across the UK to educate and to inspire people about how amazing the ocean is, but also to inform people about the threats that the ocean faces. And the other part of our work is that we work with politicians and businesses to change the law to help create positive change. So we have three key areas of work. So in our ocean recovery work, we have a dive programme called Sea Search. And what we do is we have volunteer divers, again, across the UK who go out and record data about the health of our marine wildlife. And then we use this information to decide where in the UK is best areas to protect the seabed. And then we campaign for protection. So we also work hard to promote sustainable fishing practices through our Good Fish Guide, which businesses and the public can use, and it tells you what are the best, most sustainable fish you can eat if you eat fish, and what fish you really should be avoiding. And we also work with politicians to help change the way that fishing is managed to reduce damaging fishing practices on our ocean. And then the third area of our work is our Clean Seas programme. So this is where we run our Great British Beach Clean, which you may have heard of, and we have volunteers across the UK, excuse me, who collect litter, but not only collect litter, but also collect data, and they record what litter they find. So we use this data to campaign for change. So for example, the plastic bag charge that got brought in a few years ago used our data from the Great British Beach Clean. But it's not only litter, we also look at chemical pollution as well. So that's a whistle-stop tour of who Marine Conservation Society are. So then I want to talk to you about actually our resources and what you can be doing in school. So we've recently gone through a complete rebrand as a charity, and we've taken this opportunity to kind of sit back, reflect on the education resources that we currently had, and we've updated all of our education resources. So currently we've focused on Key Stage 2, and you can see our Key Stage 2 lesson plans online. Key Stage 1 will be coming in winter, and then secondary school will be coming next year. So all of our lesson plans and all of our education work in general connects to those three core areas of our work. So in our lesson plan series, we have a series called Amazing Ocean. So there's 9 lessons in this series, and it's all about inspiring people about the incredible marine wildlife in the UK. So topics focus on wildlife, they look at adaptation, you've got whole habitat topics, or you've got ones that focus on sharks alone, for example. And you can either choose one of these lessons to look at, or you can put them together in a suggested order to form a larger cross-curricular project, which you could do across the term, for example. We then have lessons that connect to our sustainability work on seafood. So it explores where food comes from and what sustainable actually means, which is a very hard concept no matter what, but particularly with seafood, and still fairly hot topic at the moment after Seaspiracy, so that's an interesting one. And then we have 6 lessons on marine litter, which obviously ties in with our Clean Seas work. So students investigate how litter enters the ocean, how marine wildlife is harmed by litter, and how they can help no matter where they live in the UK. And then with this, we've also got 2 lessons which directly link to our campaign work surrounding marine litter as well. And then there's 6 lessons in the Protect the Ocean series, so looking at why the ocean is super important, and then the main threats to the ocean, looking at overfishing and looking at climate change, and then how we can all help. So the lesson plans can be downloaded from our website and have everything that you need to teach. So this is an overview page from one of our lesson plans on life in the deep. So you can see at the top, you've got the subject links and the curriculum links. So this is just a kind of quick reference point for you. And then there's a full document containing all of the full curriculum links that will be coming on our website shortly. You've also got links to ocean literacy principles and sustainability goals. And then you've got the learning objectives slated clearly on there. And then you've got resources provided. So these are links to the resources within the document or to external resources for you. And then there's just a short bit of equipment, extra equipment that you may need. So to look at the main lesson plan itself, this is split into a series of steps. So starting with a bit of background information for teachers, and that links also to a fact file to give teachers the subject knowledge that they need to teach this lesson comfortably. And then you've got each lesson starts with a set the scene activity before going into the main gist of the lesson itself, which is a series of activities. And you can see here each activity has a title and roughly how long we think this would take. Then towards the end of the lesson, there's the option to do an extension activity should you wish to make the lesson longer, and all of the lesson plans finish with reflect questions so you can summarise learning, and also suggested follow-up if you're super keen and want to do more. So lessons vary in length from 45 minutes to 2 hours, and it's kind of designed that you can pick, as I said before, one lesson from within a series, or you could do all lessons, or if you're super short on time, you could just pick one activity. So it's kind of designed so that it fits in with whatever timescale that you've got to learn about this stuff. So here's an example of some of the resources from within the lesson. So you've got Life in the Deep fact file. So that's background information for teachers. And then on the other side, that's an example of some of the activity cards for students. And then most of the lesson plans also have associated image reels and worksheets for students as well. So everything's in there that you should need. So that's our lesson plans. What we also do as well is assemblies and workshops. So these are both delivered free into school. So what we encourage is that as a school wants a visit from us, then you start your day with an assembly, either to a whole year or a whole school, depending on the size of your school. And then after that, we would deliver interactive workshops throughout the day to a series of groups with around 30 people per group. So it'd be the same workshop and different groups would come into us. So the purpose of the assembly is that we can introduce Marine Conservation Society, and then that saves us time then within the workshop, and then we can focus on the topic in hand. So assemblies are around 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and the workshops 45 minutes to an hour. So assembly topics, so you can have an assembly about who the Marine Conservation Society are, so that it talks about what we do to help save the ocean, but it also talks about what a charity is and what an ocean conservation charity, what that means. We have an assembly that connects to our latest campaigns, so that focuses on our Clean Seas campaign and looks at how scientific research helps us design our campaigns to protect the ocean. And then another assembly that you could choose from is our careers in conservation. So the aim of this is to break down the idea that you have to be a marine biologist to work in marine conservation. And instead, we explore the diverse roles in the Marine Conservation Society, and we look at how subjects at school can relate to jobs in marine conservation. So then assembly, you choose from one of the workshops, and the workshops directly link to the lesson plans that we were talking about. So the aim is that we can introduce one of these lesson plan series for you, enthuse the students to learn more, and give you some confidence as well, so that then you can pick up one of the lesson plans and roll with it, either for a class afterwards or for a whole term, depending on what you want to do. On top of that as well, online we have online lessons. So instead of delivering into school, we can deliver to your school online if that's something that you would prefer. And instead of like a whole day thing, maybe that would just be a 1 hour activity. So we've got one of our online lessons is on ocean superheroes. So it explores habitats like the seagrass here and how important those habitats are, not only for marine wildlife, but for all wildlife on Earth. One of our online lessons is on well-being. So we actually have an assembly and then a workshop which has questions and activities in it, and you can pause it, so you can watch it with your students. You don't need us to deliver it to you. So you watch it with your students and it has questions that you can pause and then do those activities. And then coming very soon in the next couple of weeks will be our climate change assembly, which you can watch online with your school on the run up to COP. And then maybe you'd like to follow that up with one of our climate change lesson plans in class. How you can use these resources to connect to larger goals and aims. So as I mentioned, all of the lesson plans and workshops and assemblies are all designed to either sit as individual activities or topics or whole term projects, and they're all connected to the national curriculum. And then all of our resources connect to many of the eco-schools themes as well. So obviously marine topic would be an obvious one that they connect to, but our amazing ocean lessons connect very closely to biodiversity. And then our sustainable seafood and our well-being session connects very well to the healthy living topic. And then our clean seas work, so whether that's the lesson plans or the assemblies or workshops, they connect really well to global citizenship, encouraging people to make those positive changes in their community, to waste, litter and to the water topics. So there's lots of ways that you can fit it in with the Eco Schools work. And then all of our resources also fit into many of the sustainable development goals. And as I said, on the lesson plans themselves, there's a direct link so you can see which ones they link to. And then all of our lessons connect to the ocean literacy principles, which might be something you're not so familiar with. So the ocean literacy framework has been set up by a group of scientists and educators, and the aim of it was to amend the lack of ocean-related content in education materials. So the idea is that if you're ocean literate, that you understand the ocean's influence on you and your influence on the ocean. So the 7 principles within that, and again, we highlight which principle the lesson plan relates to. How you can find our resources, all our lesson plans, our online lessons and info on how to book our assemblies and workshops are online. So if you go online to mcsuk.org, you look under what you can do and then the fun and learning section. So everything that we've spoken about just now is under that fun, primary learning section. But as you can see here, there's lots of other resources for secondary schools. There's activities and games, there's youth awards. So there might be other resources on there as well that are useful to you. That was a very quick overview of what we do, but hopefully it's given you a kind of understanding of how you could use our resources in your school. If you've got any questions at all on how you can use anything, drop us an email at education@mcsuk.org or have a look on our website. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, thanks Rachel. I'm actually getting a little bit jealous, as in I wish I was at school so I could learn all of these different things from everyone who's spoken today. So does anybody who's on the call at the moment have any questions for any of our speakers? I'll wait a moment for any hands or anything to be typed in the chat. I did notice, so we've got the SSE Eco-Friendly Schools site in the chat there that you can have a look at. Mark has also put a link in there for the School Coastal Champions, which you may find useful. And for Litter-Free Coast and Sea. Oh, wonderful. Thanks, Laura. So I don't know if everyone else can see that comment. So Laura's just said that this is all amazing and we are so lucky to now know about all these different resources. So that's brilliant. Thank you for the feedback. In that case, what I'll do is I'll let everybody go earlier, which is brilliant. We always like an early finish. So I just want to mention we've got 2 more workshops tomorrow and Thursday. So tomorrow we've got speakers from our property and grounds team who will be talking about buildings, but also about trees, as they have some information on some grants and potentially some free trees. We've also got our SSE Outdoors team who run Kilve and Charterhouse, so telling you all about their residentials and the learning that's linked to being eco-friendly that they can do there. And also the Somerset County Council energy team. And we all know energy is quite a hot topic at the moment. So they can speak to you about kind of the best ways to use energy resources. And then on Thursday, we've got speakers from Glade, which cover global citizenship, ProVeg, which are covering kind of healthy living and diet, and Mode Shift Stars, which are to do with transport and quite a new kind of thing that's up and coming. So I hope to see some of you there in the next couple of afternoons. So I think in that case, I will probably say goodbye. We've got a couple of people typing. So we've got Emma's just put in about missed collections and how you can report those. And we've also got Rupert, who has put some information about Schools Against Waste and Carymoor. Thank you all for coming along. See you soon. Bye-bye.